Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, art lovers of all ages, welcome to Drawing with Mr. Sepulveda. I'm Mr. Sepulveda, and on today's episode, I will be drawing a Crested Gecko. This is a request from one of my 5th grade students, so I hope you enjoy this video, and if you end up liking this video, please give me a thumbs up, give me a like, and if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please go ahead and do so. Alright, here we go. It took me about an hour for this first phase. I was looking at references of crested geckos and trying to pose them as best as I could. I came up with this first idea, trying to figure out if I can get an entire picture of a gecko. I wasn't sure what the background would be, but I was just trying to pose the gecko to begin with. I went a little bit more crazy on my second sketch, as you can see, trying to make it look more like an alligator. I was focusing on a lot of the features of a crested gecko with like those spiky looking eyelashes and things like that. I came across a reference of a gecko on a tree and I thought that would be pretty cool. I did put a little twist on the image that I saw, try to make it a little bit more of my own. Definitely went a little bit more cartoony on the sketch for him. Made him a little bit thicker up top as well. And as I'm sketching from looking at references, I just try to figure out what the flow is, the overall motion of the picture, and then I kind of go along with that as I start my sketch process. In a past tutorial I did a past video I did a tutorial on hands, and so I thought it'd be kind of cool to incorporate hands with a gecko sitting on top of a person's hands. Figured that would be kind of cool. Did kind of make it a little bit more of like crocodile, alligator ish type of thing, just kind of based on that beak there, but I do shrink it down, make it a little bit smaller. Kind of reminds me of a T-Rex a little bit. I was trying to pose that index finger a little bit so that I could have the gecko's foot kind of putting its hind legs and wrapped around it so he can kind of climb up a little bit further while he's on the ring and middle fingers there. Here I'm sketching some more, just trying to get more comfortable with the anatomy of a crested gecko. I also thought it'd be kind of funny if, like, I was still thinking with the hand theme, so I was thinking about the gecko on someone's finger, and then I would put the other whole part of the hand in later. But that was what I was thinking there. Like he'd be kind of on a lookout, trying to see what was over the other side. Sticking with the climbing theme, I thought I could put a gecko on top of a rock of some sort, because I like the tree, I like the hand, I like the finger, so I thought maybe I'll end up with a gecko that would be climbing on top of objects. For this sketch, it's similar to the first sketch I did, but I was focusing more on those like spiky eyelashes that kind of lead to the back. I was trying to figure if I get the whole figure in and what that whole figure would look like, or if I was just gonna kind of chop him in half and only focus on the top half, or just his face. I wasn't really sure where I was gonna end up. Here I am trying to still focus on some of those characteristics, but this time I decided to open up the crested gecko's mouth, just to kind of give it a little bit more character. And there I am just kind of messing around with the back a little bit. I found a really funny crested gecko reference on Google where he has a tongue sticking out and it's kind of on his eye, so it kind of looked like a really funny dopey looking gecko, and I thought that would be a really cool one to try to pull off. I do go a little bit more, definitely try to go a little bit more realistic on like reptile-ish, but then I thought those spiky eyelashes are just something that I really wanted to pull off a little bit more, but it does kind of look like a dinosaur when I was finished with it, so I thought that was kind of interesting. Those are the eyelashes with little spikes kind of coming across again. There's the tongue coming out. Little goofball, right? But ultimately, I decide on the one on the corner right there. So let's see what I do with this guy as I go into my sketching and my lining phases here. Here I am just trying to figure out the ultimate shape. I know I have my sketch underneath it, but I don't always stick with some of the original sketches that I do, even when I lower opacity. You'll see that I put a few wrinkles here and there on this character for some detail. I start putting some more details in the tree, and if you notice, I actually changed the tree up a little bit up top. And so as I go into this phase of my line work, I kind of keep what I want to keep, I remove what I don't want to have, and then I ultimately try to sculpt and find what my character is going to look like. And you'll see, like, I wasn't so happy with certain things, and then I just continuously erase over them, or I just manipulate and change the shape. So you can see I put some more wrinkles there by the wrists. I'll have them by the feet as well. I also change up that tree piece or of that branch just a little bit more down there. I change up the positioning of the gecko's toes. Finish up that tree. Wasn't happy with the whole leg placement, so I tried to change that as best I could. What I like to do with some of my art pieces is I like to give it a thicker outline. It kind of gives it that fresh sticker feel. And when you add a background to something like this, it does ultimately make your image pop out. Notice how I'm not sticking with the bold outline in between the tree and the tail right there in that center, or that lower center. Here I'm just putting in some details. When I do trees, I don't like to have straight lines all the way through. I like to break them apart, and I like to change directions with them. So if you've ever looked at a real tree, just pay attention to some of the grooves in the tree. They kind of go all over the place. So here I am just kind of laying down some colors for my tree branch and for my Crested Gecko. Crested Gecko, and a lot of the ones that I saw online were mostly like yellow and orange, so I try to find a decent mix in between. And then for the tree branch, I just stuck with a generic brown. I put in a pale green background. I'm using that as like a base for later, but here I am going through my painting process for the most part. Just kind of messing around with some effect brushes, like ones with scales on them, and I'm trying to figure out different ways to blend them in my character. I'm still very new at this piece, or with this aspect on my journey with art, but I am definitely still learning, and it shows a bit of in here, but ultimately I was satisfied with how a lot of things turned out. Here I'm just kind of messing around with the effects of the eyes with the different layers. I had an idea in my head, and I was trying to make it work out the best way that I could. And then ultimately, after messing around for a long time, I eventually find something that I like. So here I am just trying to give some little details to the upper skin. Right here I am messing around with those effects on those layers. Just wanted to give it some extra detail. Also wanted to separate those eyelashes, or those spiky eyelashes, from most of the skin. And then in most of the geckos, their lower part of their body, like under their mouths and their bellies, they were a different color than their skin tone on top. So I wanted to show that as well. And then here I go, kind of putting in some highlights. I usually stay away from white for a highlight. So I was using a blue, but because of the vivid light or the glow that I was using for it, the blue definitely pops out in certain areas and it changes colors. Like you can see on the bottom of its feet, where I was putting it in, it's kind of like a grayish white tone, but everywhere else kind of looks blue or looks green. Then I used a dark green for a shadow color because I didn't want to stick with the black for a shadow. So I'm just trying to figure out where all the shading goes. And if you're a professional artist, you probably realize that I'm still new at figuring out placement for shadows and light sources, but I do put them in places where I feel like they make the most sense to me, and most of it's just where it feels right to me when I look at it. And you'll notice that the green kind of changed because I changed the effect of the layer, so it turned to a little bit more of a brownish color. And here I am messing around with his eyes, and I come to mess around with the effects enough that I came up with some cool looking eyes. I think I was really happy and satisfied with the way that these eyes kind of came out. Made him pop out a good amount. And once I was satisfied with the way he looked, I started focusing in on the background. I figured he's in nature, so there's got to be some green, some trees, some bushes, or something in the background here, because I wanted to play off the green in the back. And then after I figure out where my trees are, I blur out the entire background, and then I put some more trees, some more leaves up top in front of him, so it makes them pop out a lot more. And then there's my light source right there. Okay, just messing around with what type of glow I want to see there. And then when you're done, guys, you gotta put that signature on the paper, okay? All right, guys, this is my finished product. I hope my student likes it. Guys, again, if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that bell, guys. Subscribe. See you all in the next video.